Hello everyone. Let's look at Streamable HTTP. It's the successor to SSE, Server Sent Events, with MCP protocol, which is used with large language models. So I've done some videos about that already. Check out the playlist. So what we're looking at here is a server. Let's comment this out for now. From FastMCP. So you need to do UV-add or pip install FastMCP. Create an instance of the FastMCP class, give it a name. And then this is the interesting bit. So at MCP tool, that turns it into a tool. So it's a decorator, and you need to create a tool so that you can actually do your function. Otherwise, you can have an alternative, which would be a resource or a prompt. So this function is going to be a greeting function. So because it takes parameter, it's a function rather than a resource. A resource is typically something that's read-only. So far so good. This is the new bit. Transport equals streamable-http host 127. That's whatever you want. That could be a remote server. And then port 8000, which is quite common to use for a testing port. You don't have to use 8000. You can use whatever port you got free on your machine, or whatever port goes through a firewall. So if we clear that, and let's look at the test code. So to test it, I've built a client. You can test your MCP server with a tool called an MCP inspector. But for the purposes of this video, I just thought it'd be beneficial to also show how you can actually test with some Python code, and also just point out a couple of things. So import async IO is asynchronous because you don't want it to be blocking. You want possibility to do other stuff. FastMCP client, type ignore, it just had the squiggly lines under. From FastMCP.client.transports, import StreamableHttpTransport. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's much easier to say SSE, wasn't it? But anyway, so we define the transport there, and we can use it further on. Well, on the next line. We use /MCP now instead of /SSE. If you've written any MCP servers already in Python, you'll either have done std.io or SSE. So MCP now instead of SSE. So that's a good thing to remember. Async with client. So you're creating the session manager context, and then as a client, and then you await the client when it's doing stuff. So there we're doing a ping on line 8 and 9. Then list available tools to confirm greet is available. We know that greet is available because it's available over here, but we just want a list of tools. And then call the greet tool using call_tool methods. You may or may not come across that in the documentation, so this video is maybe even more valuable to you. If you like these videos, thumbs up, subscribe, comment, all that stuff, please, if you would be so kind. Right, so call the tool, then greet is the name of the function, so greet, and then name there, so that's Alice. Oh, well, in our case, we're going to pass Alice. In fact, let's do Bob. Don't want any confusion here. Not that my name is Bob, so anyway. Print greeting result is greeting. Greeting is what gets returned from calling the greet tool, because we use await, which returns a future, promise, whatever it's called. So then we do async IO run, so we run it asynchronously. So let's just run the server. Just running using UVcorn on port 8000. Run the client. And so it did the ping. It printed the available tools there, and then it did the greeting result. So we did 3 things there, really. Printing the tools was not strictly necessary, but comment that out, run it again. So hello Bob. So the hello Bob comes from this function here. And you can pass that out as required. So that's a brief overview of how to use Streamable HTTP, which is the replacement for SSE, which was server sent events. If you want to run your server on an IP address out in the public, yeah, you can put any IP address. It could be a public IP address, so you could do whatever you want. Well, obviously it needs to be a valid IP address, but something like that, and it will work. Obviously firewalls and all that permitting. So remember, when you build your server, you use transport equals streamable-http. And yeah, that's an overview of doing a server and testing. If you want to test it the other way, inspector is just my alias to this, which you may recognize. So here, let's just zoom in on a bit. MCP port 8000. So if you don't see the third option in your MCP inspector, it's because you've got an older version. So you need to update your MCP inspector to at least version 12, let's say, possibly 11. So there we've got list resources, nothing, prompts, nothing, and then tools, which is where we get our greet. Then you pass in something, and then it will say, oh, let's do Bob again. Do Bob with 2 B's, and then hello Bob. So there we go. That's how to test it normally, but I'm finding it's probably, especially even if you're not writing one, you could be writing an MCP server in C# or something, but you could still test it with Python. So I think that's why it's beneficial to know about how to write a FastMCP client in Python, because that server might not even be written in Python, but it doesn't matter because you're writing a client. So you could have a server written in Python, consume it with JavaScript, for instance, TypeScript, whatever, or you could have a server written in C#, as long as it conforms to the MCP protocol, the Model Context Protocol, released by Anthropic in November 2024. It had a revision in March 2025, and now we've also got the streamable HTTP transport. So good, thanks for watching. I'll be back soon. Don't forget to thumbs up and all that other stuff that people always say on YouTube. It's boring, isn't it? Cheers.